Thousands of children and families in Marion County struggle with issues like poverty, substance abuse, or mental and emotional illness. Many local services exist to help families in crisis, but families often don't know about these services or can't get to them. Unmet needs can result in child abuse, neglect, or juvenile delinquency. The Early Intervention Planning Council, through the Marion County Commission on Youth's Early Intervention and Prevention Initiative, has created a plan to give families earlier access to services in the hopes of reducing the number of children who get abused or neglected or turn to delinquent acts. We hope you enjoy our monthly program, Our Kids, Our Families, Our Communities, and learn more about the local services here to help you.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Our Kids, Our Families, Our Communities. I'm Shana Martin, Director of the Early Intervention and Prevention Initiative at McCoy. Thank you for joining us. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, so we have our guest here, Michelle Studdy Campbell from Reach for Youth, to talk to us a little bit about what Reach for Youth is doing around teen dating violence, and then also a little bit more about Reach for Youth generally and all the programs that they offer for families and kids and schools and service providers and just working with the community around a lot of different issues. So, Michelle, thank you for coming today.
Oh, thanks for having me. So yes, February, in addition to being Valentine's Day and a month of love and finding out whether the groundhog saw his shadow or not, and if there's 6 more weeks of winter, it is indeed Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And, teen dating violence is really a significant problem in our community and in our country. There's all kinds of statistics that show that young people have very passionate relationships, and sometimes that passion and exuberance can turn the wrong way and end in violence. Okay. Over 10% of our young people report being verbally or physically abused. About 9.4% of our young women and men admit that in the last 6 months they have been forced into sexual relationships that they did not want. And so it's a very real problem that we need to talk about, and we need to take action and educate our young people about in our community and abroad. And so Reach for Youth has our VIP, our Violence Intervention and Prevention Program, and we even have a pledge, a violence prevention pledge that we have young people take. And so we see about 2,500 young people each year and educate them on this 2-hour workshop in community centers, in schools, and so we do a lot of work in this area.
Okay, good deal. So how do young people and families find you to get the services, to go through the program?
Absolutely. Well, just go to www.reachforyouth.org. We have 2 offices in central Indiana, one just north of downtown Indianapolis and one down in Greenwood, Indiana. And then we're also working very closely with our partners in the school districts. In a couple of years ago, there was a law passed called Heather's Law that was signed into law by Governor Daniels. It's been about 3 years ago. And that law states that schools have to give information on dating violence and how young people can protect themselves and talk about healthy relationships. And Reach for Youth has developed a 2-hour workshop that we provide in the schools for young people. We also bring this workshop to community centers and then in our own offices as well. And so in this workshop, we talk about healthy relationship, when a relationship what are some of the early signs? Someone constantly texting you, wanting to know where you are. Someone getting jealous at just the drop of a hat. Someone stalking your Facebook page constantly. Those are all little warning signs that, if left unchecked, are unhealthy behaviors that can escalate into something worse down the road.
Okay, so what does a teen do, particularly because dating is different than it was, when we were younger with all the social media stuff.
Indeed, yes.
So what are some things that you're seeing on social media, and how can young people respond to that if they feel like things are just not going in the right direction?
Excellent. There are many resources for young people, and some of the things that we talk about is kind of stalking by text. And so that on your smartphone, if your significant other is constantly like, where are you at? What are you doing? I miss you. I love you. Please check in. And it's constant. That's not normal behavior. And so in our workshops, we go over several resources for young people. There's a text for help program, there are 1-800 numbers. We give them our information of how to get a hold of someone 24 hours a day to help them if they're in that situation. We also work closely with all of the guidance counselors and school counselors to make sure that they have all of the resources available. An interesting story in a high school on the west side, I'm not going to say the school or give away any information, but we were delivering this workshop, and we do a pre and a post test to gauge if young people are actually paying attention for those 2 hours and what kind of knowledge they're gaining. And about 86% show a gain of knowledge on these tests. But one young woman wrote on her test, "I now know that I've been in an abusive relationship and I know how to get out."
Good.
And that evening we're back at the office grading those tests, and immediately we saw that. We're calling the school, we're getting a hold of someone, and this young lady got the help that she needed. And so we will see 2,500 students this year. Okay. And for most, it's just kind of a reinforcement of what they know. For a few, they gain this power to get out of that relationship that they are in. And that's what we want.
And as a parent, what is my role as a parent to help educate my kid? Where do I find the resources, or how do I have these conversations with my 8-year-old who's almost 9, who's going to start to enter that world?
The double digits.
Yes. No.
Well, we actually have curriculum for our middle school and junior high students, and a different curriculum for high school students.
Okay.
And if you go to reachforyouth.org, we have a section on there with links for more information about how to talk with your young person. But really, as a parent, when you begin to see those subtle shifts in behavior, that they're dressing differently, they seem kind of withdrawn and into themselves, they are constantly answering that cell phone when it's their significant other. Those shifts that you see in behavior that's not normal for your child is a warning sign, and you need to have a conversation. And so many times with our first and early relationships, if that's our normal, someone stalking our behavior, and then that's your normal, and you think that's how a healthy relationship is. You don't know any different. Yeah. And so really paying attention to those warning signs and those shifts in behavior.
Okay. Other information you want to share about Reach for Youth, generally speaking? I know you guys provide a lot of different services.
We do. This year we're actually turning 40, so it's a milestone birthday
yay.
For us.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We've been serving Central Indiana for 40 years, and we provide behavioral and mental health counseling. So young people and families that are dealing with substance abuse, anger management issues, depression, even young people who are dealing with some very significant suicidal ideation, talks of harming themselves.
Okay.
We have licensed social workers and a psychiatrist on staff that can help deal with those issues and talk folks through those and give them the skills and tools that they need to have a healthy relationship and life. We also run the Central Indiana Teen Court Program, and this is a program for teens 11 to 17 who have committed their first offense. And once they admit their guilt, they go in front of a judge and jury of their peers to determine the consequences that are due to the community for the harm that they've caused.
Okay. Good deal. So that helps them to stay in school, stay connected, keeps them out of the court system. I mean, what are the benefits of teen court?
Well, I'm glad you asked. There are many. And so we actually have 2 programs. We launched a new teen court program about 2 years ago with our school partners. Okay. And for that program, in lieu of expulsion or suspension, and Indiana has the 3rd highest rate of expulsions in the country. In lieu of expulsion, for activities like fighting, so disruptive behavior, theft, minor alcohol consumption or drugs. The school determines the action, and then Reach for Youth has set up these peer courts in our school system, so they created a new community of justice within the school, and the students deliver the consequences that are due the school for the crime that have been committed. And a lot of time the consequences include community service, essays on the crime that they committed, and so that they have a better understanding of their actions and how those harm others.
Okay, good deal. Well, Reach for Youth is doing a lot, and you can serve any family.
Anybody.
in Central Indiana.
Yes. We have a very low sliding fee scale. We have grants to cover a lot of the projects. We're certified on the counseling to take Medicaid and most insurances.
Okay.
So give us a call. We never say no. We always find a way to help people.
Okay, good deal. Well, just to wrap back around to the teen dating violence awareness, you said that there is a pledge.
There is
that
indeed.
Would you like to tell me a little bit about the kind of the purpose and the point of the pledge?
Yeah. And so in our research of programs around the country, when we developed this about 4 years ago, we were looking at various programs and some research, and we found that young people really do take these pledges seriously. And so we developed a new pledge for our VIP group, and to be part of the group you have to take the pledge after the program. And so far we have 100% of young people standing up, raising their right hand, and taking the pledge. And the pledge reads, "I understand that I am in charge of my actions. Intimidation is power and control over another. Violence is never acceptable. I will make a difference. Therefore, I pledge to never commit, condone, or remain silent about violence, to challenge everyone to work together, using collective voices to end relationship violence."
Very nice. And at the end it says, "Yes, I will make a difference." So it is a young person pledging not only not to commit violence against others, but also to stand up, support, and help if they are aware of a situation where violence is occurring in a relationship?
Yes, we have a whole section in the 2-hour workshop on bystander roles and when to speak up, when to get help, where to go for help. In the workshops, it's not just a facilitator talking at young people for 2 hours. We do a lot of role play. We break into small groups and really walk through exercises that young people are going to see at school, in their community, and in their relationships, and really practice those skills and new resources for getting out of a situation.
Okay, great. So if a parent is watching this, can they call their school and say,
Absolutely.
Hey, I learned about this resource and this training session. I want my student to be a part of it. Does your school offer this?
Absolutely. They can call their school or give us a call at Reach for Youth, and we'll tell you what schools we're in. And if there's a school out there that wants to have this program, just give us a call. We have funding to accommodate additional schools and organizations.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, I'm going to ask you off camera if my daughter's school is one of them, and if not, I may have to do some advocacy work to get this program into her school. So thank you very much, Michelle. Really appreciate you being here. Appreciate you helping me to keep up to speed with all the things that Reach for Youth is doing. Great work, and just really appreciate the partnership between Reach for Youth and McCoy. And I know we're going to be talking soon about some other things. So thank you very much. Well, thank you for tuning into the first part of this segment about Reach for Youth. In the next segment, we're going to have the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence come and continue talking more about Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month.
I am a daughter.
A brother.
I am a sister.
I'm a son.
And a friend.
But right now, I'm a concerned teenager. Every year, 1 in 4 teens report
They've been called names or harassed by their partner.
Teen dating violence is more than just physical abuse. It's also emotional and mental.
Put downs, name calling, grabbing, and disrespect.
we push it aside as normal dating behavior, but it's not normal.
It can lead to depression.
It can make you sick.
And in some cases, cause teens to harm themselves.
Ask your children about teen dating violence. Talk to them, but also listen.
It affects the friends, family, and other people around them.
Seriously, listen.
It's time to take a stand and tell people it's not okay.
It's preventable.
If you see someone being harassed or handled roughly, say something.
Don't let it go unnoticed. It's up to you to provide them with a voice.
Stand for respect.
Stand for respect.
For respect.
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 Standforrespect.org.
Welcome back to this segment of Our Kids, Our Families, Our Communities, focused on Teen Violence Prevention Month. And our guests are Trenda Hunter and Colleen Yackel that are here representing the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence. And Trenda is a young person who is part of their youth council. And I also learned part of the National Youth Council. So she's going to talk to us a little bit from a perspective of a young person. And then I'll have Colleen talk some about just resources and all kind of other stuff, and a little bit about ICADV.
Great.
And what they do. So, Trenda, tell us about yourself a little bit, and then kind of about your work as part of the Youth Council.
Okay, my name's Trenda, and I'm 18 years old at Columbus North High School. as senior. And I got involved with domestic violence prevention and teen dating violence prevention through a local council that I'm a part of called Teens for Change. Okay. One of the prevention people at the shelter and domestic violence services provider in Columbus decided that she wanted teens to be involved, especially since teen dating violence is a very prevalent issue in Columbus and Indiana as a whole. And then I found out about ICADV through Jessica and Colleen, who decided to get together a youth council because she as well wanted to get teens involved in this issue. And then I also got put on the national council by applying through loveisrespect.org, and I'm one of 25 people that get the opportunity to be on that council. So
wow, well, congratulations.
Thanks.
So why the interest in teen dating violence?
Well, I've always really wanted to be involved in the community and like to make a real difference, and I knew that there were a lot of issues in Columbus that needed to be addressed, but teen dating violence was definitely one of the most prevalent and one of the most important for me because I've seen a lot of unhealthy relationships around me, and it's really important for me to be making that difference.
So Colleen, talk to us a little bit about Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence,
right?
And what you do there, what your role is, and.
Well, I get to do prevention work for the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence. That is my role there. So I get to work with smart people across the state and nationally to try to develop strategies for getting in front of this problem.
Okay.
We've had enough. We know the negative impact that it has on ourselves, our friends, our communities, our young people. That's not okay with us. So I get to work with really smart people to think about solutions and to implement those solutions. And working with young people is one of the best parts of that work.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about teen dating violence. Like, who is impacted? What are some of the statistics? And, you know, is it a problem in heterosexual couples and homosexual couples? And just kind of talk a little bit about it.
Sure. Well, teen dating violence, yeah, it's a prevalent problem. In Indiana, our statistical information from the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, showed that 10% of our kids reported an experience of physical abuse from a dating partner in the past year alone. So that's not even lifetime, that's just last year. 11% of our kids reported an experience of physical abuse. Our rates of sexual abuse are really, really high. So it is a prevalent problem, and we know that it has negative impacts physically, emotionally, socially, academically. It's hard for kids to learn at school if they're afraid there. So it is a prevalent problem, and it has significant consequences for our state. But I think the important part for us to recognize is that teen dating violence absolutely is preventable. It's preventable violence. So that's where we're putting our focus is in promoting healthy relationships and helping people to develop the skills to support those, because we can do that.
Okay. So what does it look like if a young person is in a relationship that's not healthy? How do they
normally, unhealthy relationships, there's a cycle, and there's a different range of healthy and unhealthy characteristics in relationships. And loveisrespect.org actually has some really great resources that can give you those examples and like those ideas of what is healthy, bordering on unhealthy, and abuse. And so there's like things like not trusting your partner, excessive texting, just being controlling in that way. There's a lot of different unhealthy behaviors that a lot of people don't really see as unhealthy. I mean, there's the physical side, but there's also emotional, financial. There's just a lot of different parts of abuse and unhealthy relationships that a lot of people don't really see. So, and then there's a lot of isolation between partners, like saying that you can't text this certain person or you can't talk to this person, or like making them not be friends with people that they don't like and things like that. There needs to be a mutual respect and understanding in the relationship to be healthy.
Okay. And I think in our first segment, Michelle talked a lot about for young people, if it's their first relationship, then they don't really have any way to know what's unhealthy and healthy because this is their first experience. So they just assume that this is kind of normal.
Yeah.
So, being prevention focused and having, parents talk about this with their young people, schools offering programs where they get an idea and start to have an understanding before they start dating of kind of what's healthy and what's not healthy and how you know that you're sort of headed into a relationship that's not so good for you.
Absolutely. I think parents need to be aware of what the red flags are, but we shouldn't wait for them. We don't have to wait for those things to come up. Rather than waiting for behaviors that worry us, we should start early in talking about the behaviors that we think our young people deserve in their friendships. We don't got to wait until they're dating. We'll wait too long. National survey data shows that young people are already in relationships that they think are romantic when they're in junior high. So we don't want to wait until we're concerned about relationship behaviors. We want to start early in saying, this is what you deserve. This is how we treat each other. So I think it's important for us to know red flags, but also really, really, really to promote what we want to see. We want to see trust in relationships, honesty, sharing. Those kinds of qualities that are qualities of good friendships are also qualities of good relationships. So let's proactively stand up for those.
That's a good point. So what we want in a normal, any kind of relationship is what we should expect in a dating relationship.
Absolutely. We think that dating relationships shouldn't be a big mystery. We should just be able to start early in having those conversations. And that way young people will be able to come to adults and say, something's going on that I'm concerned about. If we create that open communication between young people and adults, it'll be so much easier to provide help when help is needed, but hopefully to prevent help from being needed in the first place.
And is there, because I know, again, dating is different now. Social media is playing a huge role. Do you guys do anything, especially as a young person with the Youth Council, how do you talk about the impact and the use of social media in terms of healthy and unhealthy relationship behaviors?
Well, actually, we do a lot of talk about like how social media and just like media in general have been affecting domestic violence and teen dating violence. And one of our most common talks is like how certain children's shows like hide the fact that like relationships happen and that like they don't actually show healthy relationships because it's not as entertaining as unhealthy relationships. And so we do a lot of talk about that. And we also talk about how it's important for people to know the difference between realistic and unrealistic, because media has a huge issue with that, is showing unrealistic situations and allowing people to believe that it is a realistic situation. And with social media, we talk about, we actually use social media a lot through ICADV to talk about things that are getting out there, because it's a great tool for communication. But we also need to make sure that people are using it in a healthy way and respecting people and not talking about people in like a kind of undersided kind of way. So like we talk about that as well. And especially in our local council, we've done a kind of like a toolkit about social media and like the dangers that come with it. So I just think a lot of people need to look at it and see not only the good side, but also the bad side of it. So, yeah.
What are some other things you do with the Youth Council? What do you guys do?
Well, we've done mini conferences. Okay. We could have an ICADV conference once a year where we just talk about what we're doing and get out our ideas and just get support with those ideas and let them ask us questions and give us ideas of what they want to do. And then we've also had a youth summit where we invited teens from across the state who actually most of them were trying to create their own council. And so we were trying to help them with that and get their ideas. And it's just a lot of collaboration that we're doing. And then we're also trying to work more with the adults and talking to their kids about healthy relationships before they get in relationships. So do you want to add to that, Colleen?
They just help us be cool in what we're doing about teen dating violence. You know, we recognize this is a problem in our state and nationally, but not enough of us had asked teens to be part of this, to recognize their expertise in knowing what's going on among their friends, to guide our work, to guide our strategy, and just to make it cool. I mean, if we're developing things and we haven't involved teens, we're really missing their power as change agents and their knowledge around the issue. So they help us be cool and help us develop strategies that will work for young people, because that's what's going to matter. Yeah.
And how does a young person get involved in the youth council? Are there openings? Do you take applications?
Of
How?
Always.
Yes, we do. So we take applications. Those are available on their Facebook page if you want to share that.
ICADV Youth Council.
ICADV Youth Council on our Facebook page. They can get more information about the work of the council.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's open to all, is there like an age range? Is it mostly high school or middle
High
school?
school.
High school
Yeah,
age?
high
and
school's
people? Okay.
the best age for it.
Yeah.
And do you find that the youth who are interested have had an experience with teen dating violence? Or not sure? I know not everybody discloses that, I'm sure.
Yeah. People come to this work for a lot of different reasons. We don't ask them to disclose that, but most of them just say, you know, I've seen it among my friends, I've seen it among my family, I've seen it in my neighborhood. It's of concern to me. I know it's serious. I want to be part of the solution. So that's what brings them to us, and that's what gives them power, I think. Yeah.
And ICADV does not provide direct services, correct?
Not really. We're the state coalition, so we work on things like public policy, legislative issues, advocacy, developing tools, that kind of thing. But we do connect all the local domestic violence providers around the state. So if anyone is in need of services, they can contact us to find out who they can call to get great, immediate, supportive resources and services at the local level.
Are there other resources in the community that focus on providing services for teen dating violence or just violence prevention, generally speaking? I know Reach for Youth is one of them, but are there other resources, just again, so the folks watching may know some other folks that they can contact or look up information about?
Sure. The Domestic Violence Network does work especially around coordinating services for youth and thinking about prevention strategies for youth. Also, the local domestic violence programs here in Indianapolis, the Julian Center, provide services and information and support. So there is a good network of youth-serving agencies that can provide supportive services and information. And we have a website. We have information about teen dating violence prevention. And in particular, we have a website that's teen dating violence prevention information for adults. So it's called Stand for Respect. And for all the adults that want to have these conversations, but they're afraid of them because they don't know how, or they think their kids won't hear them, there's good concrete information to give adult support in getting started and having these conversations, because it's one of the best things we can do to keep our kids safe.
Stand for Respect.
Stand for Respect.
Okay.
Number 4, because it's cool.
Okay. And I didn't click on that link specifically, but I did go to the website, and there is just a wealth of information. I mean, I read through a lot on your teen dating violence, and there's just a lot of information about, you know, how it's defined, but then also how to recognize it, the signs, and also if you're a friend of somebody who is experiencing this, how to help them. It gives some tips on how to start to get out of a relationship if you feel like you're in an unhealthy relationship. So just a lot of really great information. So I learned a lot. Again, I have an 8-year-old daughter, so there's lots of conversations about a lot, and I always just want to be mindful that I'm remembering all the things that I should be saying and prevention related, because that's our focus is prevention. So all those conversations. So thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. Lots of great information. It's unfortunate that we have to talk about teen dating violence, but because it is an issue, it's a real issue in our community, it's best that we start to work on addressing it for those who are experiencing it, and then preventing it for future young people to have to deal with. So thank you again for being here today. Really appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Our Kids, Our Families, Our Communities. Thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.